full of people who are speaking
No,
out
I
about
disagree.
this
I
issue.
disagree. I think the conversations have been, how do I approach it? How do I keep my job? I do a lot of different speaking engagements. I hold a podcast. I did a conversation with, one athlete who was on the right, one athlete who was on the left. They're terrified to speak. They don't want their owners are saying, the bosses, the people who own these teams, whether it be a football team or a basketball team, are saying, put your head down. You don't need to be a part of it. I think people forget about wartime journalism. I was having a conversation with a good friend of ours, and Jamal, she was like, this is the time where you do this wartime journalism, where you just really roll your sleeves up and you get into the knit and the grit. But for fear of losing a job, but for fear of not being able to pay your bills, people are walking a very fine line. I am 100% in agreement with what he said. When he said, make the truth seekers live in fear. If you're suing my network that I am currently employed by, and I don't even mention your name, i.e. Donald Trump, in this entire speech, but I sent everyone on the right up in arms, then I know that I'm right there where I need to be. He didn't even mention his name because he knows he also is living in fear in some sort of way. Everything that he spoke about was his life.
You both might be right in a certain way. I mean, I think there's been a lot of incredible reporting from places that you would expect conciliatory reporting. The Wall Street Journal does great reporting. Even the Washington Post, under a lot of pressure from their owner to change their coverage, has not. They continue to cover Trump. However, what is happening at 60 Minutes is different because Trump is suing them, and they do want this merger, and they're about to settle with him, reportedly. And the reporting evidence is overwhelmingly that the pressure from the owners who want this merger to go through is to go soft on Trump, because Trump has explicitly threatened putting his regulatory officials in a position where they could stop this from happening.
Yeah, well, they're trying to settle their litigation issues so they can make this business transaction. I mean, it's not unusual for corporations to do that. I listened to the Pele speech.
Scott, just your summary of that is not quite accurate.
It's not accurate that businesses settle litigation in order to make business transactions go through?
Hold on. It's a private lawsuit between Donald Trump and 60 Minutes, right? Trump, as president, is saying that the government is going to, on his private behest, stop a company from doing a business transaction because he wants it. That's different from settling, legal disputes before you go into a merger or an acquisition. That's Trump using the government to go after a company so that he can get dollars out of it, millions and millions of dollars. I mean, that's a completely different set of facts here.
Look, I know he sued them because he believes he was treated unfairly, or they treated Kamala Harris's interview unfairly and tried to put their thumb on the scale of a presidential election. They're having conversations about settling it. We'll see how it shakes out. I actually think he has a point about it. And if you've watched 60 Minutes for 5 minutes over the